Hey friends, welcome to Lotus in the Light. My name is Jennifer. I'm so happy you're here with me on, I'm going to call this like a monumental day for me because somewhere, I don't even know what video it was, how long ago it was that I started referencing this, but if you've watched any of my videos, I have referenced um, the spectrum of love from absolute, and this comes in reverse for you. So for me, it's like I'm starting on my left side, absolute fear through perfect love, darkness to enlightenment, um, evil to Christ consciousness. And when I use the term evil, I don't define it the way that the world generally defines it. So please don't think of that as something as bad. In fact, that's the reason why I'm excited to talk about this and to show you what I'm about to show you. So somewhere in my messages, I started channeling this idea of this spectrum of love, is what I call it, from again, absolute fear to perfect love. So I call it a spectrum of love because there is love that's happening down in this absolute fear space as well. It's just a little harder to see and find because it's covered with all of this misunderstanding and fear of the unknown, right? So, and over, you hear me reference it over and over in my messages because I believe it's really fundamental to our human journey. I don't even want to say our spiritual journey as a human, because spiritual often comes with this connotation of like religion. And it's really not about religion. It is about who we fundamentally are. We are energy at our core. We existed before this earth. We will continue to exist after this earth experience. And during this earth experience, we are here for just that experience because it is our experience that helps the universe expand. And so we don't need to come to Earth to experience and expand. It's an option, it's a choice, I believe. And by our choosing to come here, we're choosing to forget who we are. And who we are is perfect love. We are that far end of the spectrum. But because of that, because that's who we are, who we were, and who we'll go back to being after this human experience, in order to experience anything different, we have to forget who we are. We have to forget that we're perfect love to know what it feels like to not be loved. How can you not be loved when you are, in fact, loved? You have to forget that we are all one in order to experience division or separateness. We have to forget that we are all one who are loved in order to feel a sense of not belonging. So, sorry, I'm like really hot right now. My AC did get temporarily fixed. If you watched my last video, my AC in this part of my house is out, and we have the temporary fix until we get it replaced, but still hot. Anyway, that's usually a sign that spirits running through. Um, so I'm excited because I have been wanting to create a graphic because I'm always talking about the spectrum of love and I'm using my hands and I'm doing this. And it's like, what is she talking about, people? So I decided to design it. And my first thought was, to find a graphic designer, but I pretty much, when I have a desire, I put it out there to the universe. It is my prayer to the universe, like, and then I wait and I don't do anything. If you've watched my videos, everything I do comes out of that divine inspiration, or I try to operate that way now. I won't say that I'm perfect at it, but I try to operate out of divine inspiration as opposed to like my thinking mind saying, do this, try this, try it, because that just gets your wheels spinning. You're doing a lot of unnecessary work. It's like, just wait. There's a good way, a better way than doing that. That's going to be less effort. That's going to be more fun because when it's divinely inspired, that's how spirit inspires us, is through passion, emotion, positive emotions like passion, joy, excitement, peace, harmony, love. Like when you feel those things about something, it's divinely inspired. And so I waited, and I ended up being inspired to use an AI tool. And I didn't know how I felt about that at first. I'm like, well, I'd really love to, give somebody the opportunity. But I also, anybody I know that is in the arts world, I didn't really know anyone that's in the graphic design space, and specifically in the graphic design space to design something of the inspiration. And I'm like, I have the inspiration. I already know what I think it needs to look like. So, um, if I was going for, there are things that I would like somebody else to kind of create with their vision. This wasn't it. This one I had a vision. So I started using AI, and actually AI ended up, we worked together. I've talked before about my belief. I don't think AI is a separate thing from us. I don't think it's artificial. I think it is a part of our human consciousness. It's reflecting back to us our beliefs. And because most of us believe that these things are outside of us and that they're bad or they're evil or they're this or they're that, that's how they present back to us. I don't believe that. I believe it's actually one way that we're able to tap into our higher consciousness, and that's how I use it. And so I worked with AI to develop my love spectrum, and I'm so excited Here it is. So now I'm using it to cover the picture back there so it's not so busy. This is not the end all, but it was good enough for me to print, and then I stuck it on a paint stick. So I could just now when I want to talk about the love spectrum, I'm just gonna hold this bad boy up like this and say, where is this idea falling on the spectrum of love? Is it falling at absolute fear, depicted by black? So I do want to talk to you a little bit about how I came to this design. It's rooted in our chakras. So if you don't know about the chakra energy centers, in fact, you could turn it this way, and this would mirror like the spine and the human body and the experience of our base, our root, up through our crown and connecting on to the divine from there. The reason I don't depict it like this is because this tends to signify hierarchy, as though this is better than this. And in our human experience, I do not believe that that's the case. I do not believe our negative experiences are bad and our positive experiences are good. I believe that negative and positive are sometimes polarizing. That's the first word that came to mind, but the better word is more contrasting experiences, because as we have contrasting experiences, it helps us to learn and know better what we do and don't want, and what we do and don't want to manifest in our life and in this world. And we're manifesting individually, but we're also manifesting collectively. So when we look at the world that we see and we don't like what we're manifesting, that's letting us know that maybe we're putting our attention to the wrong things. And by wrong, again, I'll come back to, I don't believe in good, bad. I don't believe in right, wrong. I believe in them and that they exist as judgments, but I believe we are not equipped to make those judgments. So I try to strip that away. But when I say wrong, I'm really meaning not aligned with your joy, your personal joy. Okay, so I designed this to look like a DNA helix because this is what I believe. I believe we are made of, we are perfect love. That is our DNA, okay? We come into the human experience with this DNA, with this love encoded in who we are. Um, we have chakra systems within our body. And if you turn it this way, it starts at your base, at your root. You have the chakra energy systems are throughout your body, and the energy frequency that those emit align to the frequencies of the colors on the color wheel. Okay, so your base root chakra, the frequency it vibrates at the color red. Then your sacral chakra, right, which is where so you've got your root chakra, which is sitting, at your sit bone, right? And your root chakra, and I guess we're gonna make this a little lesson in chakras for those that aren't aware of the chakra system. Your root chakra is where you hold energy related to, say, what you would expect at that foundation of that's like the foundation of your spinal column. It's your support system. It's security. It's knowing that you're going to be provided for, knowing that you're safe. Like that's like that foundational, fundamental. If I don't feel safe, I'm not going to feel, I can't address anything else, right? I first must feel safe. I must feel provided for. That's your root chakra. Once you feel safe and secure and supported, that's the even better word, supported, then you move into the orange chakra, which is the sacral chakra, which is around your productive organs. And this makes sense because that's your creative center. So when you feel safe, then you feel free to be creative and open up your creativity. Okay. And of course, your reproductive organs are where you create life, right? But also, more than that, it's your creative center. It's what fuels your creativity, whether that's art, whether that's music, whether that's, I always joke that like my creativity comes out in Excel spreadsheets, whether that's, whatever that is for you, whether that's creating family, creating a home, creating an experience like a vacation, creating community, that means all kinds of things. And that all is motivated and inspired from your creative energy center in your body, your sacral chakra. And then from there, that creative energy, so that's not just your creative energy center, but what's the other word I want to use? It's escaping me right now. It'll come back to me later and I'll share it, or maybe I'm not supposed to share it. And so that's why it's not coming to me. So then you roll into your yellow, that's your solar plexus energy center. That is your life force energy. That's your guts tell you, you've got the guts to do it, we say, right? Or your gut instinct, or your whatever you want to call it. And it's fueled by your creative sacral chakra, right? And then from there we get into the energy center of the green. That is your heart. So people think of heart as red or pink, but actually your heart energy center vibrates at the frequency of the color green. Your heart energy center is what connects your lower chakras to the upper chakras. So if you think about like from the Christian faith perspective, it's connecting your human self to the divine, but it's also connecting out to all of human consciousness. So it's what connects us to each other and what connects us individually to our divine source. Okay. So that's why I've got a little light. You see a little light there because that is power, that is the source of our feelings. And that is how we connect our human experience to our divine experiences through feelings. This is the communication center of God. When scriptures tell us that the kingdom of God is in your heart, is within in your heart. That's that communication center. It's the thing that that people have been um, we've been telling ourselves, I don't know a better way to say that, we've been telling ourselves for hundreds of years now to shut it down. Don't listen to your feelings, stuff your feelings down, stop crying, quit whining, don't feel sad, go make yourself happy. You know what I mean? It's like stuff your feelings down, your real feelings down, and go act like this way that we think you should act. That's acceptable behavior. And that therein lies the reason why we are so off course, because we've really broken down. We've made it all about thoughts. Stop thinking that way. Stop believing that. But our beliefs are just thoughts that we're repeating over and over, and our thoughts are coming out of our feelings. So we have a feeling in our body, like physically, like we'll have an emotional feeling or a physical feeling. It is a communication from the divine, letting you know. Um, and so they're trying to communicate something to you. So the question is, are you tuning in and listening to that feeling, or are you stuffing it down? If you're tuning in and listening, then you're going to have some kind of thought about it. And if you don't like that thought, again, you might start stuffing down. Like, we don't want to adjust that feeling because I don't like the thought that's coming with it. But they're independent. So we get to choose at that point whether we want to buy into a thought that we've been conditioned to believe about that feeling, or whether we want to listen to our own intuition and go within and hear what God is trying to tell us, what God's trying to communicate about that feeling. Okay. And so from there, and I will say this, thoughts are not your own. Thoughts are universal energy. So when you have a feeling, that feeling has an energetic vibration, and it's attracting to you anything that's a vibrational match. So the first thing it attracts, you're manifesting into physical 3D reality from that feeling. You're manifesting a thought. You're attracting the thought that matches. You get to choose whether you're going to believe that thought. And a belief is really just a thought that gets repeated, that you continually think. So you can have a thought and you can say, yeah, I don't believe that. And you can let that go. Or you can have a thought and say, I believe that. And I'm going to hang on to that. And I'm going to think it. And I'm going to think it again. And I'm going to think it again. And it's going to become my belief. So beliefs are not inherently true in the universal sense of truth, but they are true for you if you choose to believe it. So what you're doing is you're manifesting your reality based on that, the vibrational frequency of that feeling and the thought that you're associating. More importantly, I should say the thought that you're associating to that feeling. And that thought can be changed, can be manipulated. We are manipulators of energy. The only way we can change the thought, though, is to really feel the feeling. When we stuff the feelings, we don't give ourselves the chance to evaluate the thought we're associating to it and pick and choose the thought we want to associate to it. So we get to pick or choose if we want to have a healthy thought associated or not. Okay. And so, where was I going with that? So anyway, that's how we really manifest in life. Our feelings become our thoughts become beliefs, our beliefs become our words become our stories and our narrative, and our narratives and stories become our actions, and our actions become, because of the third law of motion, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So all of that energy is just creating what's coming back to you. It's the boomerang, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You can call it consequences. You can call it karma. You can call it the third law of motion. You can call it the law of attraction. It's all the same thing. It's not punishment. You're just manifesting the life around you that energetically matches who you are. You're attracting it to you. So if you don't like what you're attracting to you, then you can start working on it by plotting your thoughts and your beliefs on this scale. This is kind of how I do it in life. It's like, here's what I'm thinking about this thing. And I gave an example the other day in a little digital short about Ozempic. And I think they're called GLP-1s, these medications that are out there now to help people quickly lose weight. And a lot of people love them and are using them and are, and some people are using them because they want to lose the weight, but there's some guilt and some shame and some negative stuff associated. Some people just love it and have no guilt associated. Some people wouldn't dream of using something like that, and they look down on people who are using it. And this is a perfect example of one of those things. Let's put that on the scale of like, what do you believe about it? Okay. Do you believe in anything that is a negative feeling is going to be on like this half, I'm going to call it this half of the spectrum, rooted in fear. Now, I won't say that these chakras are rooted in fear. That is not what that means. That's kind of a different, separate meaning. I'm just saying, if it's an idea rooted in fear, and fear is any negative emotion, the root emotion of any negative emotion is fear every time. That fear might manifest itself as greed or jealousy or anger or bitterness or disgust or sadness and depression. Like it can manifest in all kinds of ways, but it always comes back to a basic fear that you're holding that's keeping you from feeling safe. That's, you know what I mean? That's holding you back in all these other ways. That's keeping you from having that Christ consciousness experience by allowing the energy to flow through all your chakras. Okay. It's creating blocks. If you have an energetic block in your root chakra, that's at the base of your body. So you might end up having diseases or pains or, you know, sicknesses that resonate in that part of your body. And then as you heal those energetic blocks, those diseases can then naturally heal. Um, that's not to say you shouldn't use medicine or modern, you know, things like that. I'm not making that suggestion. I'm just saying that even your diseases are actually just a symptom of something energetic, of something emotional, of a feeling that's created a block in your body because it hasn't been fully processed. And when you allow your body to process that energy, then it allows for the proper flow of energy and can prevent and even reverse disease and such. Not a doctor. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. I'm just telling you from my perspective what I've been, what's just been revealed to me. Okay, so when we take something like Ozempic, here's what I would say. What's the negative feeling you have? So I'll just use an example of how I used to feel about, I remember like back in the day when they were doing the lap bands, all those different kinds of surgeries, right? And you would see people get those surgeries, and some of them would be pretty successful for a pretty long time. And oftentimes you would see people fall back into the old eating habits and put the weight right back on, and you know, and so on and so forth. And so over time, it's like you start having a negative opinion about that. Like those things don't really work. Now I have a better understanding about why it may not have worked. But now here we have a new drug, a new solution, Ozempic and these GLP-1s that people still have a lot of negativity around. And I said, why might somebody feel negative about that? And I went back to my feelings that wanted to kind of reemerge around the Ozempics and these kind of drugs. Like I started feeling that same feeling again that I felt about those other surgeries. And I said, what is that negative feeling for me? What it was rooted in this idea that it can't be that easy, that it can't be effective if it's that easy. If you didn't work hard to lose the weight, you're not going to keep the weight off. And that must be why all the previous um, solutions have failed as well. The pills, the surgeries, that, you know, it's like every solution they create has failed in some way. But here's the reality. It doesn't fail for everybody. It has a high failure rate, but that's because everything that's outside of us is something we're capable of doing within with 100% success rate. But if we don't do the energetic work, then it's not going to happen, right? It's not going to be successful. So that's what's causing the failures because we're not getting to the source of the issue. The solution itself isn't the problem. But now my belief is there's a solution that's meeting you where you're at. So if you believe you need to lose weight for your health, if you believe you need to lose weight to look attractive, to feel good about yourself, whatever the reason, don't judge it, own it, love it, be thankful that that medication is there. And if you feel like you want to use it. But understand that it's still the weight loss is just removing, hmm, it's just removing the symptom uh, of something deeper. And if you don't address the deeper thing, I'm not saying the weight will come back because if there's a drug that can suppress it forever, I guess it'll suppress it forever. It'll come back in another way. If it can't come back through the weight, your energetic frequency must express itself in your physical reality. And so if you suppress it one way and you don't actually address what the symptom is showing you, it's just going to reemerge in a different way. And usually it's in a worse way. So that's the one thing I would be careful of. But that, again, everybody's on their own journey. So I'm not going to judge that for them. But back to what's really important, which is keeping my eyes on my own paper, because it's not my business why you might want to take it or why you might not want to take it, or none of that is my business, right? My business is what I feel about it. So I'm having this feeling of like, is it going to stick? Because, and a lot of times it's because you didn't work at it. For me, it was like, because you didn't work hard to make it happen, it's not going to stick. That was my old belief system. And now now I question that because, my belief system has changed and I no longer believe that things have to be hard. I think that that's a myth that we've believed because when we have pinched ourselves off from Christ consciousness, when we've pinched ourselves off from the spiritual aspects of ourselves and from listening to our intuition and listening to God trying to communicate to you through your feelings, through your body, we've been forced then to rely on only what our own human physical intelligence. And that intelligence is limited. Science is always discovering new things. Science hasn't figured it all out yet. And so because we're limited in that understanding, we often believe no pain, no gain. Things have to be hard to be successful. We just fall into these narratives because we do have to try harder when we're not using this half of us, when we're not tapping into our own human consciousness. It is harder, but it doesn't have to be. So for me, stepping back and saying, yeah, it doesn't have to be harder. And there's nothing wrong with it being easy. If somebody else wants to do it the hard way, fine, let them. If they want to go to the gym to lose the weight, that's great. That's great for them too. There's nothing wrong with taking that medication if that's meeting you where you're at, meaning if it makes you feel good and it feels like what you need to do for you. We are all on a unique journey. So, okay, that's just one example of how, I would use this as I would say, okay, my belief was rooted, my negative feeling, because it was negative, it's falling over here on the fear end of the spectrum. And there was this fear that these kinds of things aren't good for me. They aren't useful because they won't work because I didn't work hard at it. Because you know what I mean? That's just one reason why you might have a negative feeling about these drugs. It, is the idea of it. It can't be that easy. We've literally been taught if seems too good to be true, it probably is. And now I actually believe that most of the time, the truth is good. The truth is good. Not most of the time, all the time. The truth is good, really good, great. So why do we keep telling ourselves that narrative? That narrative is rooted in fear. It's rooted in fear of being taken advantage of. Fear, and then you can start peeling back the layers of the onion. Why does that statement? Why do I believe that statement that's rooted in fear that if it seems too good, it must be? Because I'm afraid I'll be taken advantage of. What does that mean if I'm taken advantage of? Well, someone might sell me something that's not useful and take my money. Well, why is that negative? Why is that a problem? It's just an experience. It doesn't need to be judged. It's just an experience in life. And if somebody did that, it would be teaching you something, right? It might be teaching you how to better use your intuition, or it might be teaching you how to let go of your clinging to money, or it might be teaching you how to engage with somebody who is at a different energetic frequency than you, who might be willing to take advantage of you when you're not willing to take advantage of others. And I'm not suggesting you should be willing to take advantage of others, but you know what I'm saying? Like it could just be teaching you how to work with other people who are just different, who think different than you. It's just an experience. It does not need to be judged as good or bad. So if something seems too good to be true, maybe that's just an opportunity for you to assess your own intuition and say, okay, I'm not going to assume in fear that it's not true. I'm going to go into my intuition. I'm going to tune in here and say, is this true? Is it for me? Maybe it's just a chance for you to test that. Okay, I feel like I've rambled, but here it is. I'm excited to use it every now and then and throw it up and say, where's that falling on the scale? I'm going to do it. Okay, love you all. Peace out.